everyone, welcome to Coach on Command. My name is Aaron Littleton, and I'm the head coach of the Gymnastics Sports Center Storm, two-time AGA champion, and your host of this hour of excitement and wonder. So as you'll see here, we've got our regular panel back. We have the heartthrobbiest heartthrob of all time.
I'm Coach Tracy, and in case you didn't notice by now, I'm a big nerd.
I mean, I think that describes all three of us, to be honest with you. But
you're not wrong.
So tonight, we're not going to talk about Pokemon. Sorry. We are going to talk about caring for yourself as a coach. So this sport is brutal, right? There's just no way around that. It's brutal on your athletes' bodies, and if you're the one spotting them, and we are, then it will be brutal on your body as well. We said it before, but basically this job is one high-speed collision after another until your athletes learn how to control their bodies or that they have a body to start with. Until they learn to control their bodies enough to perform the skill successfully by themselves. So in truth, you're always just an inch or two from some sort of cataclysmic disaster. And it's best that you know that before you get involved with this. So tonight we're going to talk about how to best take care of your body while coaching. And this is something that I've had to learn the hard way. And so maybe we can give some tips to help your recovery go faster than some of ours have gone. So first question tonight is, what is /are the worst injury or injuries that you've sustained while coaching? You'll notice that my list very large, but yeah. So Kaegan, what is the worst injury that you have sustained?
So one time during our tumbling class, I was spotting a cartwheel and I caught a stray leg to the chest and dislocated ribs. That was very fun. Didn't hurt too bad, but they popped in the day before, like the morning of my wisdom teeth removal, which was very fun. The next one, I was showing some students how to do a backflip. I over-rotated. It shot me backwards. My head went in between the springs. My face launched up into the mat. And because I have a nose ring, it caught it and my nose started bleeding. And I didn't realize until a few minutes later that I was bleeding out of my ear because the springs pinched me. So that was fun. And then the other day I got punched.
Not even by a student.
Just a random little girl.
Jeff the random bro didn't like how you've been talking about him.
Jeff the random bro's tiny sister.
It was Walmart.
Walmart hired her. She was in a Girl Scout outfit. I don't know what I would say is my worst injury. Honestly, I haven't sustained what I would call a really awful injury while coaching. Yeah, I've been kicked in the head a bunch, knee in the various regions of my body, scratched. I've pulled a muscle, spotting before. I'm sure we've all done that. Twisted ankles happen reasonably often. But I got to say, the one that I hate most that happens sometimes is getting a carpet burn. I get carpet burns on my knees, and anytime you get a carpet burn on a area of your skin that flexes or stretches, it's just annoying. It doesn't hurt that bad, but it is annoying. And then I got to be careful with my showers because I like hot water and my carpet burns don't. I don't know. I wouldn't say that I've taken on really bad injuries. Of course, there's a fair bit less spotting in parkour relative to gymnastics, but probably carpet burns are the worst because we roll around on the carpet quite a lot.
That, that's interesting that you say that, because I'd never really considered how much less spotting there generally is in parkour than there is in gymnastics. I mean, with gymnastics, you're usually spotting every skill that they do at least a little bit, at least for a certain, determined amount of time, they are unable to do this or even unable to conceive of what you're trying to get them to do. And so, in the early stages, you're doing drills, but you're also trying to spot them normally. And, that can lead to all sorts of fun situations for you as a coach. And, so I'm going to try to succinctly go through this list. So basically, if you name it, I have had that injury basically since I've been coaching 12 years. Number one, and this is probably the most embarrassing one because it wasn't even like a contact thing, but one time right before an expo, I reached down to pull a mat and I threw my back out. I reached down and I grabbed the mat and I just felt, and I was like, ow. And I mean, I could barely like walk, and the mat wasn't super heavy. I must have just pulled it or contorted my body just right or whatever, but man, that was not fun. And so now I try to be really careful when I move mats. I didn't think I was getting that old. I wasn't that old at that point. So that one was really interesting. When I first started really doing tumbling class, we had this station that I have since removed. Mr. Cronin had us doing this station, which was basically a mini trampoline. It was a mini trampoline, and the coach stood at the edge of the mini trampoline, and there was a mat. And so basically you're supposed to hand spot a back handspring onto this mat. But the problem with that was, it was a great idea in theory, but the problem with it was in actual action was if you had a girl who was, let's say, a little bit bigger and didn't really know how to jump or pull their legs, it was dead weight. It was basically like boing and then and so we had a few girls that were almost as big as I was, and you've heard me say before that I am a biggin, and so I spotted them, and it was just all they jumped and they went up a little bit and then they came down right on top of me, and so I did this for a couple months and it was terrible. But before we got rid of that station, but during the whole progression of that, I pulled both of my biceps, spotting them, and I burst blood vessels in both of my arms. And so, the thing about it is that that's a really horrific thing to have happen to you, but you never feel like a beast more than that. Chris Cagle said it best, scars healed, glory fades. But you got to do it because the chicks dig it, yeah, and so yeah, I that was a whole situation. I've had a black eye before because somebody healed me like through my glasses into my eye, so that was super fun. Then I was spotting a girl on a front tuck one time, and no, back tuck. It was a back tuck, and it's been a while ago, but she comes in, she goes round off back handspring back tuck, and I put this hand to spot her, to bear her weight, and this hand goes over and I turn her over. Except for when she did this back tuck, she threw it back and she took this arm on that side of my body, and I just heard pop, 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 pop in my rotator cuff. And so I told Mr. Cronin, I was like, I hate to tell you, but I think you got the rest of these reps today.
I think I'm done here for today.
I know. But, I mean, it felt like it stretched it. And so, luckily, nothing ever came of that. And to this day, I haven't had to have surgery on it or anything like that. But it was a scary moment. When the inside of your body starts making noises, it's like that's not a great way to go. And then, as you said, I've been punched and kicked about everywhere you can be punched and kicked. I did have a stress fracture from that same station because you had to like plant your foot into the ground and they would like land on top of you. And so I did have a stress fracture right here at the above my toes, I guess, right here on my foot for a little while. And I kept working, and so it didn't heal for quite some time. Yeah, I'm a super smart person. And then rug burn, you talk about rug burn, getting out there and running and like kind of sliding to spot. Normally I spot back handspring from my knees, and so I've ripped the top of my foot open more than once, spotting a back handspring like that. And so it got to the point where I could feel it tearing, and I just wrapped my whole foot in like tape. But I never liked spotting in shoes because I felt like I was going to fall over and everybody was going to die, And so I gotta make sure that I'm there for them. And so, you got to figure it out. But the worst out of all of that, the worst injury that I have ever had, was, so there was this girl, and she was older than what I was used to working with. This was 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago, and she was doing a front handspring on a floor beam, and I was supposed to be there to to spot her and help get her over. But when she did it, she leaned into me, and I felt my whole shoulder go, and I was just like, you know what? That hurt. That hurt, and I told the coach that I was working with at the time. I was like, I don't think I can do this. but yeah, and so as you can tell, there's a great menagerie of injuries that you will get into if you do this for long enough, and yeah, and so that's why I think that that's an important question, so everybody can kind of understand what we go through. I mean, there's something pretty much every day that I'm out here. The best thing that happens to me is that I get my glasses knocked off my face, and sometimes it's very cinematic.
I would love a slow mo of that. That'd be great.
Maybe we'll work on that. But yeah, my glasses have been punched across the room more times than I can even say. So with that, and with all of that new knowledge that you have of all the things that we've gone through as coaches, are there any tips that you guys have for trying to take care of your body while you coach? Obviously, brutal sport. You can get knocked around, a lot. And so what are the tips that help you out?
Rest as often as you can. Not while you work. That's bad. But
just fall over, Snorlax.
Exactly. No, go home and rest. It takes time to take care of yourself. It takes time to heal. If you're going all the time and never stopping, you're just going to be in pain constantly. And that's not fun.
I kind of have to agree with Kaegan. Every coach will tell you, yes, you have to work hard, you have to get in reps, you have to do this, you have to do that, we have to condition, you have to stretch, The rest is just as important as the work. If you don't give your body time to recover from the effort, then it's hard to maintain that without some form of detriment. So definitely you want to make sure that you can rest. If you're stressing specific muscles or joints, icing it, a lot of coaches say it and a lot of people blow it off because ice is cold and people don't like to be cold and uncomfortable, but it's genuinely helpful, can help with swelling and a number of other issues as well. And I'm not saying you have to go pay for a professional massage, but sometimes massaging your muscles gently, rubbing them yourself even, can go a long way to help with soreness and just increase blood flow, which can have a menagerie of benefits there. Just some small things that you can do yourself that you don't really necessarily need someone else for to help you heal up faster.
Yeah, in the short term, I think ibuprofen really works, and it can get rid of a lot of aches and pains that you have, depending on what it is. But you touched on ice, and yeah, and for a long time when I was really taking most of the reps, and so there was like a 6-7 year period where I was taking like 90% of the reps in the gym. Like, I mean, I was taking hundreds and hundreds of reps a day. And that, whether you want it to or not, or whether you think it's a big deal or not, will take its toll on your body. And so I had this thing kind of right here, kind of like on the inside of my elbow, and from spotting back tucks and doing all that and just being constantly pushed on, that I had to get like a ice wrap, and I would just wrap it, and it would eventually go away, but man, it just had this throbbing pain. And so ice, I believe in that as well. The other thing is sometimes my back, especially if you're doing a lot of things where people are falling down on you, like back tuck, they should be setting up mostly. If you've got kids that are somewhat taller, they should be going up above you, and coming down on you will kind of compress your spine a little bit. And so for me, like, I'd like to just lay down here on the floor and I'll just roll it out. I'll just make myself into a Sonic the Hedgehog ball, and I'll just roll back and forth, and that always kind of help with the back issues. But the number one thing I think for kind of all ailments that you may find while you're coaching is I just take a hot bath, man. And it's like, make it as warm as you can stand and just stay in there until it's not hot anymore. Or if you need round 2, just dump some more hot water in there and let's hang out. But yeah, kind of like a spa treatment for yourself. And I mean, that's always kind of helped me in the pursuance of having my body not hurt from day to day. And then the last question we have is, so we talked about tips for helping your body once you have been injured. Are there any helps for preventing I will speak English. Any heals for preventing as many injuries as you can before you get hurt. You don't want to say close the gym early.
Close the gym or only have everyone sit down the entire time. It will be perfectly safe. It's great.
Call in sick that day.
Exactly.
When coaching, I tell my kids every day before class, we warm up, we stretch. That's not just for the kids. I warm up and I stretch. I probably warm up and stretch way more than they do because I work out outside of the gym. We come here, I stretch before class starts. I warm up with them and I stretch with them, and I think that can go a long way. Another thing, I haven't really done this since I've been coaching here at this gym, but back whenever I coached kids that were larger than what I have now, just wrist and elbow and knee covers. You know, you can do pads. I don't typically like to do pads, but something that's slender that can just cover the skin for whenever you slide can prevent a lot of carpet burn, a lot of rug burn, and save you a lot of irritation. Me especially, because I hate those. But stuff like that. I actually keep a pair of knee pads in my car all the time. Also, elbow pads. They're just always in my car for various things. Can go a long way to help prevent some injuries.
I think those things are solid. Yeah, and so the thing that I'm going to say is number one, and this kind of for preventing injuries to yourself and your person, I think that it's good to have drills especially when you're first starting a skill, to get the kids to understand the movements that their body is supposed to go through. And if they can understand the shaping and have body awareness of what their body is doing and all that, they will naturally move more of their own body, which means that you have to move less of their body, right? And so now that I've walked you through all of that, it is, and so if you have drills, obviously that can help you have to load bear much less of the skill. And so if they understand even just little parts of it, that can help you out. And over time, that will add up for you. And the other thing is work on your spotting, timing. If you're late or if you're early, you're doing, more work than you should be. And, and technique. And so find a coach if you don't know how to spot, or you want to learn how to spot, and find a coach who knows how to do that and get them to teach you proper technique. And the more that you're on time and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it kind of alleviates some of the burden being placed on your body. And then the last thing is I mentioned that I was at one point I was taking like 90 or whatever % of the reps. So what can help you not take so many reps and thus not have so much pounding put on your body is if you develop coaches. If you can develop some coaches to help take some of that workload off of you, I think even just spotting a skill or two, really helps. And I mean, my body feels, for the most part, I'm the oldest I've ever been while coaching, but my body feels mostly pretty good because I only take certain reps, the reps that I need to take if I'm teaching somebody, or if there's somebody who needs my specific skill set of spotting, like working layouts or whatever. Kaegan can work a little bit of layouts, but he hasn't worked them that much. And so if somebody's doing a layout, somebody's doing a half or a full or whatever, that requires me to step in. But other than that, I'm spotting much less round off back handspring. I'm spotting much less cartwheel. Somebody who doesn't know how to do a back handspring, I've got people who do that now, and then I can just use my brain and my knowledge to help move the skill along instead of taking all that pounding on my body all the time.
Help it visually instead of physically.
Yes, and that right there is the ultimate tip. Let somebody else do the spotting. A young man who can help you.
Let someone else get kicked in the face.
Like, so much pain.
So there you go. Tips for helping you keep your body in the best shape possible while you undergo this sport that we're in. And so we're going to do the randomly strong opinion of the day right now. And so we've had fun, and we think it has enhanced quite a lively debate amongst us for the top 5. And so we're going to do top 5 again. And this time, something just for Kaegan, something that is super, super up his wheelhouse. We are going to do the top 5 best or favorite musical acts. So that can be bands, that can be it can be artists, it can be electronic, it can be
Let it go from Frozen.
it can be the Teletubbies if you want it to be. So all right, Kaegan, give us your list that we are going to wholeheartedly disagree with.
So this is gonna be ironic because I don't have Pink Floyd on the list, and I'm wearing a Pink Floyd hoodie. So, number 5 is Daft Punk. Daft Punk is great, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
Because it's a perfect description of him.
Number 4 is the Crane Wives, and it's very small. But they're pop folk, and it's really good, and I enjoy it. Number 3 is Queen, because it is great. It's everything from dumb songs like I'm in Love with My Car to insane theatrical performances of like The Show Must Go On and Innuendo. And it's great. 2 has to be Led Zeppelin. I just really enjoy Led Zeppelin. And number 1 has to be the Beatles. And it's because they're so versatile.
All right, Tracy, tell him why he's wrong.
I can agree that the Beatles are pretty good. But
Thank you.
sorry, Aaron. I can agree with that. The Beatles are pretty good.
I set you up and you betrayed me.
I don't necessarily the ball dunks itself. I don't necessarily agree that all their songs are good, but I can vibe with some of their songs. But my favorite band of all time is a band called Three Doors Down. The best band ever made. They're so good. All they do is win. Even their worst songs are at least decent.
DJ Khaled.
Yeah, super great. Love them. The Gorillaz. I remember whenever I was young, I listened to a song called Clint Eastwood, and as a child, I had no idea why they would call it that because it didn't make sense to me. And now that I'm an adult, I realize I still have no idea why they would call it that. It doesn't make sense. Beyond that, number 3, Skillet. Love this band. They've got some excellent rock songs. They kind of have some hybrid, Christian-oriented songs. Always got a killer drum bass line. Ugh, man, they just crush it. Okay. When I was a kid, I really liked the band Simple Plan. I'm just a kid. Who didn't love that song as a kid? And then number 5, there's a guy who makes he has a YouTube channel. It's called Smooth McGroove, and he makes acapella remixes of video game music, and it is amazing. It's absolutely heavenly. This gentleman has a heavenly voice. I've met him in person once. I actually have a picture with him. Sweet, awesome guy. And he makes good music. He makes excellent remixes of this music. It's so good. I had listened to it every day, nearly every day, without fail. They do call him Acapella Jesus because he's got a really long beard and he's got long hair. He's definitely got a look about his style.
Nice. All right, so I agree with none of you so far, which is fun. And so I had to avoid cheating because Tracy would chide me. Tracy is really the purist about the I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna be like top 8.
That's fine. As long as the rules say it.
I have an honorable mention, and they won't let me say it.
No, you know what's gonna happen. Don't do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Nobody's ever gonna hear your top 5. All right, so mine number 5. I'm gonna go bottom up. So number 5 is, and it's weird because we were talking about Simple Plan, and yeah, I really didn't get into rock music until much later in my angsty teen years. That's what I'm saying. That's how I know. I was probably a little bit older, yeah. But and so I've gotten over the last few years to enjoy Korean pop music. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but yeah, some of it's kind of really good. And they've got a band which apparently is not that popular in Korea because they don't really know what rock music is, but called Dreamcatcher. And so it's a K-pop band that is like heavy metal. And so very, very interesting, but some of their songs are really good, and I've been listening to them a lot. So I decided to give them the bump over Sleep Theory, which I've been listening to a lot. And then number 4 was my favorite musical act growing up, and that was Garth Brooks. And so here's the thing. Country is absolute trash, okay?
Agreed.
There's some country songs that are okay, but country...
You would be out here defending country.
Okay. For a long time, I wouldn't defend country. because a lot of it's trash, but there's like 3 songs that I like that are good.
Listen,
And there's like 4 that would never have happened unless country music was a thing.
You know what happens if you play a country song backwards?
yeah, you get your dog back, you get
Get
your
your
car
wife
back,
you get your car back, you get your life back,
ding,
get your
ding,
house
ding,
back.
ding, 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 ding.
You become sober.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, and so country had an illustrious like Michael Jordan Bulls era run, like at the end of the 90s, like very, very early 2000s when they had Alan Jackson, they had Garth Brooks. One of my other favorites, Clay Walker, was there. They had Brooks and Dunn. I mean, they were turning out some bangers then. But country music has been terrible before then. It is terrible since then. They have like a 5-year run where it was like a 5-peat championship. Michael Jordan hugging the trophy, like they were killing it. And that's a very bittersweet analogy for me to make because I grew up a jazz fan.
So I gotta say, I don't like country. Almost exclusively can't stand it. Garth Brooks had some bangers.
Yeah, no. And I actually got to see him in concert. My mom took me, and I've actually seen Skillet, too. That's another one of my favorite bands. And so my mom took me. He was at the AAC, the American Airlines Center in Dallas, and we went to go see him. And this dude did like 4 shows a day and was just out there like killing it, And I mean, who knows how old he was, but I mean, he wasn't 20 out there doing it just show after show after show. But yeah, I mean, one of the greatest experiences. And concerts really aren't my thing. I like studio albums much more than I like live music. But yeah, Garth Brooks, if you haven't seen him and you're a fan of the very small, incremental, awesome country genre, then you got to go see Garth Brooks because he's fantastic. And then number 3, I've mentioned them before, 3 Days Grace. Yeah, 3 Days Grace. The other day I was driving and Misery Loves My Company came on, and I don't think I have ever vibed harder to a song in my entire life. Just, yeah, fantastic. 3 Days Grace. Number 2 is Disciple. A little bit more Christian rock. But yeah, Disciple. Invisible is probably my favorite song of all time. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but it's fantastic. Once and For All is a great song. Yeah, they had some bangers for sure, and I'm sure they're still making music. But number one for me is a band that nobody's ever heard of. is a band called Icon for Hire. That is probably the number one, and they're kind of Christian adjacent as well. But they have, if there was one band that I had to say that I like the most percentage of their songs, that's Icon for Hire. Like they do some absolute bangers, so check them out. Yeah. And so there you go. I just want to let you know that I love this show. Okay, this is my favorite show in all the land. And if you are also loving this show and you are enjoying this show as much as I do every week and as much as we do putting this out to you, then please remember to like and subscribe. You can argue with Kaegan on TikTok, and he will argue back with you. And
quickly.
And so we also have an email.
askcoc@yahoo.com.
Fantastic. All right, and that'll do it for us. Thanks so much for hanging out. Please stay tuned for narwhal jousting.
And have a flipping great day.
And don't forget to set. Take care.